So we are going to include them in our prayers this evening, but it is good to be together nonetheless.
Good to see all of you. And got something in my view here. We'll just wait for a moment before coming on. We thought we'd begin singing the words Maya Fe Hayom. What a beautiful day this is as Shabbat begins to begin here. Maya Fe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat And I am going to mute for a moment because I just got word that the sound is funny from my little Zoomical here. So I'm just going to take a moment to fix that.
And while Beth is working on her sound, which let's face it, Beth with bad sound, still beautiful, right? What a joy. While that is happening, anybody want to share something beautiful that they encountered in the last week? We just sang what a beautiful day, what a beautiful time. Lynn.
Okay, well, this moment reminded me of a long time ago in the Talmud that the rabbis were trying to figure out when twilight is, which is the division between day and night. And it was the moment when you could first see 3 stars. And so fast forward to now, I was sitting out on my balcony the other day, and it was one of these horribly humid days. And I was trying to be in the moment, and I could feel, like the sort of, I don't know, eels swimming around me of humid air and dry air. And then way up in the sky, there was those cirrus clouds that looked like waves along the beach, and they were reflecting the light from the sun. And then there were these other fluffy clouds below them that were blowing across. And some of them looked like rounded vegetables, and some of them looked like sea lions and different shapes. And I just thought that was an amazing moment before the 3 stars came out.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for sharing that. It's incredible.
All right, hopefully this will be better. Let me know if it still sounds funny. Is it funny even when I speak?
No.
No? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Good. Well, okay. So did anyone bring Shabbat candles to your Zoomical here. I've got some over here, but I didn't know if somebody had some handy and would like to light for us. We'll do so. Is anyone raising their, Martha, were you raising your hand? No, okay. Let us add some light. And we'll move over. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ha'olam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lehalekne shel shalom. And I see that I did not fix the sound. I'm going to try another setting. I'm so sorry. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
So while Beth is working on her sound, anybody have a story from their week with a little bit of light that they'd like to share? Little light story that you have or have encountered.
I can share. You turn your sound off. Thank you. We're going to try this. Can you hear me? Is it okay?
Yep.
Is the sound okay?
Mhm.
Okay. So this is very little light because we just got back from South Africa where there was very little light this this time of year in winter. So that's the very, very little light story. The other
That's a good story.
little light. But the other little light is that we saw stars in there in a configuration that was backwards from what we usually see. And it was really awesome to see that. That's all I had to say.
Incredible. Thanks, Sandy Joe.
Mhm.
So I'll add one as well. And that's actually as I was driving back to my home this evening, preparing for services, there was a gorgeous rainbow of light that I was able to capture. And it just really made me think, okay, we've got some really good light here that is just appropriate. Wasn't able to get it into the slides for this evening, but was very cool.
Mhm. We saw that rainbow too, Dan. It was pretty spectacular. Beth, are you trying, or I saw you on mute? I didn't know what that meant.
Who are you talking to?
You, Beth. Sorry.
Oh, to me? Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Gonna try it. Can you turn down your? Oh, God. We're a little, clearly, COVID has been over for a while because I no longer remember how to do this on Zoom. So I'm so sorry. Hopefully this will be fixed. We are going to turn to the words of the psalmist, Shiru Ladonai. And I thought about these words and this tune a lot in this last week, especially when we were on safari, which is just, I can't even believe I'm saying such a thing that we did this. It seems like a dream now. and listening to the sound of the birds and the roar of the lions and all of the sounds, especially during the night with animals walking around our tent. And I was thinking, this is a song I have never heard before on this earth. And it was such a privilege to be so close and in that space with the wild things, with the peace of the wild things. And I was thinking, we need more songs like this. So I'm just still in that very deep space of listening so closely, listening to myself. And I would sing this in the Jeep as we would head out at 6 o'clock in the morning to see the sun rise and then again to see the sun set. So I am taking the peace of those wild animals, those peaceful animals, into this psalm right now, singing to the earth. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, barechu shemo, basaru miyom liyom Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, barechu shemo, basaru miyom liyom Yeshuato, basaru miyom liyom Yeshuato. Whenever I see that cardinal, we know it is time for Lecha Dodi. It is time to bring this Shabbos into our hearts. This light coming through, hopefully coming through your windows. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, hishmi'anu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habaracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hit'oreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'i v'shalom ateret vala, dam ובצהולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקרא קלה פני שבת נקבלה. So it feels so good to be back and to be home, home in this Zoom space with all of you, and to see your faces and to know that people are watching and connecting and joining in online, and to be greeting this Shabbat together in this home that we create, whether we're physically together or not. And so we turn to the words of Baruch Hu, dear one, finding that light, calling to that light, living in deeply into our souls as we possibly can, as we begin this holy time of rest. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Baruch Hu, dear one, Shekhinah, holy name. When I call on the light of my soul, I come home. Calling on the oneness, the connectedness of all living and breathing things, all the creatures that live on this planet with us, all of us heart to heart, feeling that deep community, that deep connection, those invisible lines of connection that Rabbi Larry Kushner wrote about so beautifully. If we just listen and hear the call toward our unity, toward our togetherness, there is still hope. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed. And turning toward the mystery, I thought we'd share tonight the beautiful interpretation by Rabbi Yael Levi of the Ve'ahavta. And if you'd like to read along with me, loving life in its mysterious source with all our heart and all our spirit, all our senses and strength, we take upon ourselves and into ourselves these promises. To care for the earth and those who live upon it, to pursue justice and peace, to love, kindness, and compassion. We will teach this to our children throughout the passage of the day, as we dwell in our homes and as we go on our journeys, from the time we rise until we fall asleep. And may our actions be faithful to our words, that our children's children may live to know truth and kindness have embraced, peace and justice have kissed, and are one. Our song of redemption, of freedom from the narrow places, the restrictions within us and outside of us. Micha Mocha. Yai dai 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 dai, yai 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 dai 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 dai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora teilot osef ele, nora teilot osef ele, yalai 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 yalai
Something's happening with the streaming.
And Dan, I have to say to you that the slides, the nature slides, are so welcome and so, as always, part of the Kavanah, but maybe because it's been 2 weeks since I've been immersed in the beauty that you bring to the service, I just wanted to say thank you to you for bringing them to us, and certainly to the photographers that you find and that add to this. And I know at some point you'll be sharing with us who those photographers are. Maybe we can spotlight them a little bit, because they have become part of our prayer experience at Shir Tikvah, for sure. We turn to the words of the Amidah, beginning together for the first 3 brachot, and then taking some time for our own prayers, knowing that we are each doing it in our own spaces, that we are so connected, even as we'll have some quiet time and then meet back up here. Adonai sefatai tivtach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tivtach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chazdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'nehem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezorat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah rav lehoshia. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך, סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
And with the beauty of those pictures and the fortitude of our prayers, we turn to our prayer for those who have been held hostage, knowing that after 279 days, to hold on to hope and beauty requires fortitude. It requires a deep strength from each of us to keep praying, to keep hoping, to continue to widen our hearts rather than let the pain of this moment close them. And so I'm going to ask that each of you join me in the words of prayer we have been saying for 279 days. Prayer to bring the hostages home, prayer to free all of those who are held hostage in the horrible situation in Gaza and in Israel. Our family, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress or in captivity, who stand either in the sea or on dry land, may the Omnipresent have mercy on them and take them out from trouble to blessing and from darkness to light, and from oppression to redemption, now, swiftly, and soon. Amen.
And we were thinking for Misha Berach, if this is possible, Dan, to get us all back on the screen together just for a little bit as we turn to words of healing, prayers of healing for those in need of healing in body, mind, or spirit, or mood. And during these summer months, we're not reading the whole list from our Misha Berach list. We're just asking people to unmute and say the names of loved ones or put them in the chat if that feels more comfortable. And if you just raise your hand here in our cozy Zoom room, we'd be honored to call on you if you have a name you'd like to share. Miriam.
Louise Ehrman.
Linda.
My cousin Jessica Gerton.
We know that there are loved ones thinking about and carrying with us, people we don't know across the world perhaps. Nan and Sue, thank you for adding those names to the list. Sending our healing prayers and thoughts to those in need. Join together. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Hu Yivarech Virapeh et HaCholim Elna Rifana la Elna Rifana Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Hu Yivarech Virapeh et HaCholim. May these words and our intentions find their way to everybody who is in need of that healing. I'm going to turn to the words of Sim Shalom. May peace and kindness and grace and compassion be flowing out from us into the world and flowing to us. Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha. Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Ba'olam Chen V'chesed. Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Ba'olam Chen V'chesed. Berachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha ועל כל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, בעולם חן וחסד. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, בעולם חן וחסד. ברחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך.
It's really not that uncommon for a person in power to have their logic and their behavior distorted by that very power. Sometimes making the decisions they make anathema to everything they have spent their life working for. This week, we saw an example of that in Moses. The people were wandering in the desert in Parshat Hukat, and Miriam dies. The people complain to Moses and to Aaron about the lack of water. This, by the way, is the textual source for the Midrashim that undergird the newer Passover tradition of putting a Miriam's cup filled with water on our tables, because in the Bible it says that Miriam died, and then the very next verse says the people complained for the lack of water. So the rabbi said it must have been tied, the water, to Miriam. Well, anyway, God tells Moses to assemble the people at a rock. God says, you and your brother Aaron take the rod and assemble the community, and before their very eyes, order the rock to yield its water. Thus you shall produce water for them from the rock, and provide drink for the congregation and their beasts. Sure enough, Moses assembles the people, starts, listen, you rebels, and strikes the rock twice with that staff. The water pours forth, and the people and their beasts do drink. And you might have thought that could have been a happy ending, but it isn't. Because God says to Moses, because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israelite people, therefore you shall not lead this congregation into the land that I have given them. I have to admit that I always thought that this was a overly harsh reaction by God. Perhaps maybe what one could call an overreaction. Moses had done 90% of what God had asked, leaves one step out, and for that one step, loses the privilege, the honor, the lifelong hope even of leading the people into the land. I mean, it's one mistake. But this week, I think I read this story a little bit differently. This week, I found myself considering leaders whose sense of self has grown so large that they no longer show the judgment to acknowledge their appropriate size, what their role should be in the future of the people. And in thinking of it this week, I thought, is that really nothing? Is it nothing to not understand that you are only part of a system? I have to admit, this week, I read this story not as a judgment on God, as I had always read it before, but on as a judgment of Moses. Perhaps it's a reminder, this story, a parable, meant to remind us how easy it is to have our vision distorted, how easy it is to let ego lead when we think we are leading. And so I find myself praying for all of us. May we work to see ourselves clearly in the days ahead. May we offer generosity of spirit and compassion to those who struggle to see themselves for who they are. And may we find a way to move forward toward the promised land, no matter who leads us there. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be so. We turn to the moment of memory in our community with the words of mourners Kaddish. And we will invite you all, Dan, if you could bring us all to screen again. Invite you, if there is somebody who you are remembering, whose name you'd like to share into this community, this shared space together. I invite you to raise your hand. It would be an honor to call on you. Sandy Joe.
20th Yortzeit. Oops, one more second. 20th Yortzeit for my Aunt Sonia May Alpert. She's my dad's sister.
Thank you. Ellen.
I lost my cousin Rona Ash last week. Also, it's the Yortzeit for my mother, Selma Cohen.
Thank you. For those named, for those who have no one to say their names for them, we become the community of memory, holding their lives and their legacies sacred. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, as is your custom, for the words of mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivarach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing, to which we all say, Amen.
So before we conclude with Shalom Aleichem, I just wanted to say that I think next Friday night, is the first of the Shabbat potluck dinners. And maybe it'll be a very nice and cool evening that it can be outside. We don't know. But if you are, that starts at 6 o'clock. Am I right about that? Is it 6 or 6:30? 6 o'clock? Okay, great. And that will be a lovely experience. And then the Shabbat after that is the temple camping trip, and it'll be another Shabbat potluck dinner. So, does anyone have other announcements that they would like to make before we conclude the service? Oh, there are still 6 spots left in the camping trip. So if you've been on the fence about going, there is room for you.
Rabbi Cari.
I was just about to say that I am not on the fence, not even a little.
Welcome back to those who were on another continent, and hope to see some exotic pictures at some point.
Go back to
Yes. And from the ritual committee, I'm very grateful to Rabbi Cari and Beth for leading us tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It means a lot.
Well, let us end with singing in those Shabbos angels, asking them to bless us with peace, and then sending them away where they need to be. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Serchem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai, yai dai 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 Shabbat Shalom to you all.
Shabbat Shalom.